Okay, action. Faster.
Faster. No, this is a slow job, this one. This is another laborious part. It applies to any plastic kit, really, aeroplanes, especially aeroplanes. It's masking it up. I've this colour is an undercoat because the plastic was very shiny and I didn't really think the paint would adhere very well. So I've used an undercoat first, which should help. That was all over. And then I've done the underside in the final sky blue colour, Luftwaffe sky blue. All the underside without masking because it didn't really need it. That's dried. So the next stage is to paint the top surface. There are two shades of green. So I'm going to do the overall top in the lighter shade of green, which is a sort of olive green, I suppose you'd describe it best as, first, which means I have to mask off all the demarcation lines. So the lighter green will come down to here. All this is masking and post-it notes, because post-it notes cover a bigger area and they're quite handy. The rest is masking tape, which is not massively cheap, but it's about the only thing you can use, really.
So is it special masking tape? It looks very...
It's
Could you turn your light off? Because it's causing a flickering, I think.
It's Tamiya.
That's better.
That's just,
oh, I see.
I mean, several different companies make their own marking tape.
Right.
It's a sort of low tack, so you don't rip off too much paint underneath it.
Oh.
And then I should be able to do the lighter green in all the top surfaces and down the sides of the engine nacelles and the sides of the fuselage.
Oh.
Carefully, and the fins and rudders. Then I'll let that dry. Then the next masking process is to mask in the camouflage pattern, known as splinter pattern, as shown there. So again, I'll mask off all this lighter green colour and then spray this darker green, Schwarzgrün it's known as in German.
I don't think I've seen you do anything in that camouflage before.
No, I haven't done it for quite a long time. It was the standard colours that the Luftwaffe started with, fighters too, but very early on they began to realise it was rather too dark. So fighters at least began to have one of these greens, and I can't remember which. Probably the darker green was oversprayed with another base colour, actually very similar to this. RLM Grau, it's a sort of grey
because it does
colour.
look quite dark. In that it would just all look one colour from a distance, I imagine.
To a degree. I mean, I suppose to a large degree the camouflage was to camouflage it on the ground, to camouflage it from attack from the
above.
air.
Okay.
But also particularly in combat, if you're trying to sneak up on an enemy aircraft, you want to be camouflaged against the ground so they don't see you quite so easily. So any pattern helps to change its visibility to make it less obvious. I mean, it's interesting. Germans, most nations had a camouflage pattern. The Americans went for much more universally. Their aeroplanes are almost all entirely painted an interesting olive drab colour entirely over the top. Notorious for fading to sometimes a liver colour apparently, but very prone to fading, and different batches would fade to different degrees, and it makes a very interesting modelling subject. So,
and you've got several reference books here.
Yeah. Well, I've been collecting these for years.
So you've got, there's 5 I can see on the desk. You've got 2 open.
See, so it's one of those I'm making.
Hold on, I'm going to zoom in on that. Okay.
And, there's another picture up there. There's more in those other books over there.
And then there's a book over there.
Another one there.
Phew. Okay, and you got a cup of tea.
Cup of tea. I'm going to have to camouflage that. I suppose it's in a sort of desert tan colour anyway, really, the tea.
Yeah, but the mug's a bit obvious, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that does stand out. That wouldn't be able to sneak up on an enemy aircraft during the day.
Okay, right. Thanks very much.
De rien.
See you next time.
Bien sûr.